Hi guys, Yasas Kikalosiptate, which means hello and welcome in Greek to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make roast beef, and this is not your ordinary roast beef. This isn't even the roast beef that I grew up eating. This is the roast beef that we made at our bakery when we used to have it for 10 years, and everybody loved it. We used to make this for large catering orders. We used to make sandwiches out of it, put it on salads, serve it alongside rice. Some people even used to get it alongside their eggs for breakfast. So delicious and easy to make. The whole thing comes together in like 10 minutes, and then you just put it in the oven and you bake it nice and low and slow. And then the end result is going to be this fall apart, tender, and very flavorful beef that you can use for meal prep throughout the week, or you can serve it for a Sunday night dinner. But it's even delicious enough to serve at a dinner party. Let's get started. So I always start off with lots and lots of garlic. I mean, this is about 20 cloves, but who's counting? Then I like to put the roast beef on top of the garlic, and I do not brown it. I know most people do, but this has worked for 10 years, so I ain't changing it. So to the roast beef, now we're gonna add some olive oil. 1/4 cup is good enough because there's plenty of fat in this. Now the magic ingredient in this is red wine vinegar. It really tenderizes it and adds so much flavor. So I'm going to do 3/4 cup of red wine vinegar. But the other day I was making this and I didn't have any, so I used balsamic and it turned out delicious. So I'm going to do 1/2 cup of red wine vinegar and 1/4 cup of balsamic, so we could have a nice depth and flavor. And now it's time for the seasonings. I'm going to add 4 teaspoons of salt. Now it sounds like a lot, but if you like less salt, you can definitely season it to taste. And lots of oregano. I usually put like about a handful. And I'm just gonna rub it between my hands so I can release the oils and crumble it. I'm gonna put even a little bit more than that. Then I always add some crushed red pepper flakes for heat. Leave them out if you don't like it a little bit spicy. Then I like to add 2½ teaspoons of granulated onion, 1½ teaspoons of ground black pepper, and a heaping teaspoon of cumin. This is ground cumin. Put a tiny bit more. That wasn't heaping enough. And then I'm going to add 1 cup of water so that we could have a little bit of sauce in here in the end. And I'm going to turn this around so that way it's coated on all sides. Then I like to put a piece of parchment paper on top of the beef. Then I cover it with aluminum foil. The reason I put the parchment paper is so that way the aluminum foil does not touch the beef. And that's it. That is all the prep you need. Now you can definitely do this a day before, the night before you're serving it, and keep it covered and ready to go in your refrigerator so that we can kind of marinate a little bit. And then if you're doing that, if you're putting it in the refrigerator, make sure that it comes to room temperature because you never want to put cold meat in the oven. And then let it come to room temperature, or there's so much flavor in this, I'm just going to bake it off straight away. Make sure that the oven is preheated to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Bake this on the center rack until the meat is super soft. That's going to take about 4 hours. It can take all the way up to 5 hours, depending on how big and how tough the roast beef is. But once it's ready, it's going to be falling apart, soft and delicious. I'll show you what it looks like as soon as it's ready. So the roast beef took almost 4 hours in my oven. At the 3-hour mark, you want to go in and take a look at it. You could even flip it over so that way it cooks evenly in those flavorful juices that are on the bottom, so it can get evenly flavored. And then cover it. You'll know that it's ready when you insert a sharp knife into it and it goes all the way through easily and comes out easily without any resistance. That's how you know it's ready. It's going to be really tender and delicious that way. Once it comes out of the oven, uncover it and let it sit at room temperature for 20 minutes before you start to slice it. Now, if I'm serving this for a dinner party, I definitely like to have this ready at least an hour before my guests arrive, because that way I can go ahead and pre-slice it and let it sit in that delicious gravy, those juices that have settled on the bottom, and then the beef is going to be perfectly flavored. You could even, if you're meal prepping, then you can make this on Sunday or whatever day you meal prep, slice it, put it in a container, pour all those juices on top, and then you can have it ready to serve over rice, over a salad. You can send it to school with your kids if they're in school, or take it to work with you, or just serve it at home for a lunch or a dinner. It goes great over rice, salad, in a sandwich. I'm going to show you once we slice it. Let's slice it right now because it's cooled down a bit. So you want to slice it at the diagonal, and I don't like to do this too thin because then it starts to fall apart. So if you cook this longer, then it is going to start falling apart while you're slicing it. So you can cool it down even more so that way it's easier to slice. I could have cooked this even 30, 40 minutes longer, if you ask me. I like my beef very, very well done. Yum, it smells so good. Now I'm going to take all of the slices and put them back into the pan with the juices. And I'm going to lay them flat so that way they can get all those juices. If you look at the garlic, it should be super, super soft at this time. It should pretty much be melting. So put the slices into the pan and then just flip them over so that way both sides get coated. And if you're serving it right away, then you're gonna wanna cover this and let it sit for at least 20, 30 minutes so that way it could absorb the juices, and then put it out, lay it out on a platter for your guests with whatever size you're serving this with. This tastes amazing with a chickpea rice pilaf, with any rice actually, as a matter of fact. It goes great with some mashed potatoes or lemony potatoes. You can also serve it with pasta, although I don't really recommend it. I do prefer the rice over the pasta. Or you can make a nice big salad, and this can go on top of salad for anybody who's doing the low carb thing. That would be great. This is so loaded with flavor. And then serve it on the side, actually. So you could serve tzatziki or the shawarma sauce that I've made in the past few videos. That's become my favorite. I have it in the fridge all the time. So today I'm going to show you how I serve this over some rice. And I have some rice pilaf over here that I made in my rice cooker. This is just basic white rice, and then I threw in a can of chickpeas in there. Already boiled, already cooked chickpeas. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a slice of the roast beef on top. I definitely want to get some of that sauce. And there you have it. Dinner ready in no time. This is so good. I'm going to set that aside. And next we're going to make a pita. So I have a homemade pita bread here. And if you haven't ever made my pita bread, you have to check the recipe out. This is the best pita bread ever. And then you can fill this with whatever you want inside. You could even do roasted vegetables. If you have any leftover roasted vegetables, put them in here. But we're going to go more basic. I'm going to put some shawarma sauce down the center. And this shawarma sauce is basically just yogurt, lemon juice, a little touch of mayonnaise, and some garlic with some black pepper. So much flavor. And it goes with everything. Then I'm going to put some sliced bell peppers on top, some tomatoes, thinly sliced red onions. If you want to caramelize the onions, that is delicious as well. Then I'm going to take a piece of the roast beef, and I'm just going to cut it. I'm just going to cut it into strips and put that into my sandwich. Now you can put tzatziki sauce on top or this shawarma sauce. And lunch is ready. Put it together. And you know what I say, if you can't close the sandwich all the way, you know you've got yourself a really good sandwich. Here you have it, a roast beef pita, ready in no time. You can put this beef in the fridge and have it ready. It stays fresh for almost a whole week, especially if it's in its juices in an airtight container. Take it out, pan fry it to warm it a little bit. Make sure you grab some of that juice. It's going to have solidified all that sauce because there's a lot of grease in it that hardens once it's refrigerated. Just scoop some of that in the frying pan and let this warm through. Then again, like I said, serve it over rice or whatever you like, over a salad or in a pita. It is time to take a bite. And I'm just going to take a piece of this roast beef here. So good. That sauce is amazing, especially with that vinegar in there. It gives it a little bit of tanginess, and then also there's so much flavor in the seasonings that oregano really makes it nice and bright and fresh. The whole thing is amazing. The meat literally melts in your mouth. It makes a perfect weeknight meal, amazing for meal prep, and delicious enough to serve at your dinner party. The recipe, as always, is in the description box down below, as well as on the website, dimitrasdishes.com. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.